What did I knock down, Brad?
Doesn't matter. Change to the video.
Alright, MTG stream.
Yep.
We're giant. Oh, you wanted to do it holding up?
Oh, yeah, it's probably easier.
Alright, we'll talk about our first picks. We'll bust it open and we'll go card through card. And this set is a little bit different than Oath, or than Battle for Zendikar. Brad can't help not looking.
Yeah.
There we go. So.
Wow, these are. You might have to set it down here.
That's what I was thinking. There we go. Consuming Sinkhole, I'm out. Searing Light, I would pick, but I don't consider it great. Now, the thing about Searing Light is there is a lot of 2 power cards you want to kill, a lot of high toughness, low power cards, and it can shine, but I wouldn't be happy with that.
Yeah, I wouldn't be happy with that.
Not happy with Negate.
That was the first pick.
Unnatural Endurance is a surprisingly good combat trick. I wouldn't want to first pick it, but only costing 1 mana, giving you more power and regenerating is a combination that usually means you trade up quite well. It's something of a giant growth is about where I would rate it at.
Yeah.
Pulse of Marasa is...
So this is actually a really good card. Probably not first pickable, but it seemed to win a lot of races.
It's better in Sealed than Draft, because Sealed is slower. In Draft, it's going to be a little bit worse, because their opponent's going to give it a little bit more time to attack. I'm out on Untamed Hunger. That's not playable. Crumbling Vestige is the kind of card that you can use as a strong colorless source. So if you are colorless, I would pick this card above Wastes.
Yep, me too.
Alright.
Alright. Where's this one? Oh,
it's focused on
so this
us.
one is...
Here, let's see if we can actually get this.
Yeah, this one is to...
Ah!
Oh, man, you probably should set that somewhere.
It's not wanting to set. Oh, it's loose. It's loosey-goosey.
Uh-oh. Technical difficulties.
Brad ceiling.
Yep.
Is this doing
Yep, there we go.
Okay. No, don't fall over on me, little guy. Stay. Rise.
There we go.
Is this upside down? Is the right setup? Gosh, we are just having to go everywhere. It's focusing on us. It's focusing on my hand.
Alright, so do this and then slowly back it away.
Alright, Brad's got this down. Containment Membrane is a card that I'm happy with. I think it's the most first pickle card so far, but I don't think it's particularly the best or anything. The fact that you can surge it, like you can play on turn 4 or 4, a 3-drop and surge it to tap down a creature, makes me want to play the first one quite highly. I think it's my favorite card so far. Hedron Crawler is another... Hedron Crawler is another card that I would be happy to play in the colorless deck and outside. It's okay in the support deck, it's great in the colorless deck, and it's okay in the Ram decks. Alright, Embodiment of Insight. Now we have a card that I can actually first pick without being sad. Being 4 and a green for a 4/4 Vigilance, land creatures having Vigilance is moderately relevant, but whenever a land enters the battlefield, we can get another 3/3 with haste is a nice, really pushing the damage. I think that I'm definitely taking the Embodiment over the Havoc Sower. It's just a 3/3, which is fine, but without being great. Visions of Brutality. I hear people saying this is pretty playable in aggro decks. Them not being able to block and them taking damage on the crackbacks really does put a damper on many attacking decks.
Ooh, that's probably first pick. But only because it's worth money.
Well, there's a little bit more to this. You're not playing that many non-creature spells, so it's usually going to hit you a creature or a land. And it is some amount of selection, but you have to be base green. If I'm base green, I would take this. I don't think I would take it, at like a Pro Tour. I'd probably take the Embodiment over the Oath. The Oath does give you good selection, however. Alright, I probably... So it's close on the foil. Sylvan Advocate is 2 for a 2/3 Vigilance, and it gets +2/+2 as long as you have 6 more lanes. So it's good early, and it's good late. And it has good stats for where you want to play it, and it's an ally. It has a lot of things going on for it, and you can make creature lanes pretty well. So I'd probably take the Advocate over the 4/4 just because of the cost difference. And that it's so much more effective somewhere places. What other cards do we... Okay, wait.
It's just tokens and stuff.
That was a good pack for...
That was a decent pack.
Yeah, I do think Oath of Nissa is the best Oath, by the way. Just...
Yep.
I'm not unhappy with Spark Mage's Gambit. Not excited. Same for Core Scythe Master. Like, they're playable cards, but not particularly great. Is this still not wanting to...
There we go.
Zulaport Chain Mage is a card that, like, Cohort is an actually defensive ability, But the nice part is you can trade with one of their cards and use the cohort effectively, and if they're not willing to trade, then they're going to die. So they're forced into attacking.
Yeah, the problem with the cohorts, with the 2 toughness, he trades down a lot.
On blocking, he trades up a lot. Because he can trade with their 4 toughness creatures.
Yeah, but he's bad to attack because you'll trade down.
Well, the good news is cohort is a good defensive ability. So he goes through the way. I don't think Elemental Uprising is a card I particularly like. On turn 2, it doesn't do anything because you have to have an untapped land. So in turn 3, you have a 4/4 that'll kill their 3/3. Well, that's great. But on turn 10, your 4/4 attacks in and they block with a 5/5. Or they have a Eldrazi spawn. Or etc., etc., etc. I'm not particularly impressed with this green removal spell unless you're extremely aggressive. I'm out on Sky Scourger. At 1 in a red for a 1/2 flying, it can grow, but unless I'm in the very aggressive black decks, colorless decks, I'm not really too big on that. Holdout Settlement's the kind of land that if you're going early in on colorless lands, it's pretty good. I probably wouldn't first pick it, but I think it's one of the better ones overall. It can make colored sources, and it taps for colorless, which is very powerful. Blinding Drone, however, is essentially a 2-color card. It requires blue and wastes, or waste-colored, or, devoid mana. But it taps down a creature, and that effect can basically prevent someone from winning. So I would first pick the Blinding Drone. I would definitely pick it over the Pathfinder. The Pathfinder is essentially just a 6-mana 5/5. It's very dull. Okay, so this is interesting. Roiling Waters is a 7-drop. You bounce 2 of your opponent's cards, and you draw 2 cards. Which doesn't seem that great at first blush, but you almost are always getting your 7 mana's worth. You're getting 2 cards, so you're ahead on cards, giving you the time to play it by bouncing 2 of their cards. And most importantly, how often do they just have a bunch of tiny creatures out? You do have to board this out against really aggressive decks, but I don't think the format's blazingly fast. So for me, it's Rolling Waters or Blinding Drone. It's actually neither of them now, because we have Embodiment Fury, which is 4 for a 4/3 trample, and that's almost good enough. Land creatures you control have trample, which is actually very relevant, because they're all 3/3s, and landfall you get a 3/3 with haste, and trample as long as this is around. So that's my first pick. Rune of the Wake is like a bad rampant growth. You'll sometimes play it in the very heavy green decks that really want to get out either multiple colors. Wow, this pack is stacked. Okay.
So this guy was amazing at the pre-release.
5 and a blue for a 4/4 devoid. Whenever a creature you control deals combat damage, you may draw a card. That is great. You're usually going to draw 2 or 3 cards just by swinging out. Whenever a creature you control, 3 in a devoid, there are 3 in a colorless, target creature can't be blocked this turn. So it can make itself unblockable and draw you cards. The next turn you play it, if you have 8 mana, you can make multiple creatures unblockable. If they only have smaller creatures, you can do all sorts of shenanigans to really basically make them completely bind. We have a bunch more here. We have 4.
Prowess, yeah.
2/1 Prowess is not good enough. Forest. All right.
Token.
Brad is just pushing for him. He just wants to go through some packs.
Yeah. It's interesting.
Negate is a fine sideboard card. Sparkman Gambit. I would run one of these main board. I wouldn't first pick it. I think this will be our last pack for busting. Shoulder to Shoulder is fine. I'll run it in decks that have a lot of creatures in. You don't usually want to run more than one because they're really awkward to get more than one. Same for the Pulse. I'll run my first Pulse, but I won't usually run a second or third. I won't run any Untamed Hungers if I can help it. Vines of the Recluse is one of my favorite combat tricks in the set after looking over some more. I think I rated it a little bit low because just a green gives you a lot. Just paying a green for +1/+2 and untapping it and reach means you can usually surprise an opponent really easily. But even on text, your 3/3 will trade with their 5/5. Sorry, their 4/4, right? Because you get your 3/3 has enough power now to kill it, enough toughness to survive. So I actually really like this. I'm not going to first pick it. I would consider first picking Tarjar Pathwarden. The first one's very good. They lose a lot of value in multiples. You can only have so many 5-drops in your deck. I probably wouldn't usually run more than 2. But the first one's very strong. Goblin Freerunner is another card I like too. I think it's one of the better Surge cards, just because it's fine as a 4-drop. Like 3 in a red for a 3/2 menace is a little bit under where you want it to be. But turn 4 playing, a removal spell or a 2-drop and a 3/2 menace is very strong. Holdout Settlement we talked before. I think I'm still probably on the Pathwarden. Alright, now I'm on the Blinding Drone. Like I said before, tapping down creatures is powerful, even if it is a 2-color ability. I'm out on Strider Hardness. It's not a card I want to play if I can help it. Havoc's are strong. Being 3 and a black for a 3/3 is okay. And just being able to pump for +2/+1 is pretty terrifying. If you can ever get 2 to void, or sorry, 2 colorless, then you've got a really legitimate threat as it goes up to a 7/5, and that's really hard to get around. It's another visions. Okay, so this is interesting. Deceiver of Form versus Blinding Drone. And for me, I think I actually probably go with the... See, the Blinding Drone requires me to have this mana up front, very early, whereas the Deceiver of Form is much, much later. It is a powerful card late. You get a Scry every turn, and it can be an in-game condition to win. You can go wide with it. So, Deceiver of Form or Blinding Drone?
I'll probably take the Deceiver because it will end the game.
It can, and it is an 8/8, and this has
if you're trying to be very aggressive, the Blinding Drone is good, but I think as a first pick, you want to take the powerful card.
They're both powerful cards, but I'm probably going to take the Deceiver Form just also because it does require a lot of setup, but you do need about 7 wastes before, or waste sources, before Blinding Drone becomes really good. All right, is this the last one we had right here, Brad?
No, we can open another one if you want.
No, I think this will be the last one for him. We'll open some more up next time. We already did this one.
Yeah.
Oh, we did. Okay. Yeah. So I was. But there's a lot, and I want to do more crack packing after we get a little bit more into the format because we don't really know 100%. I'm under the impression that my color order is actually at I think blue is the best color, followed by red and then black. And some people have black and then red, but I think blue, black, and red are really good again. And I think that's going to be kind of problematic because I think blue, black, and red were the best colors in the other set too.
Oh, really? Yeah, so...
And then I think white and then green. Interestingly, green has gained quite a bit. I still think green is the worst color in the set, but I think it's gained quite a bit.
It was pretty good in sealed.
Like, I think you can play a green deck. Before, there were people saying, even if you're the only green drafter, you might not want to play green because the commons are so bad. The commons in Oath of the Gatewatch are playable. They're just not spectacular. Like, if you look through the green commons, how many did you see that you really liked other than the 5/4? The one I really like is the 2-mana 2/2 that gets +1/+2 when you play colorless, but that requires a commitment to colorless that's pretty high. So, it's pretty tricky. I look forward to trying green. I'm not going to try it early, probably. Brad is showing off his
rares,
fancy.
Yeah.
They're
not even fancy.
Well, you got what?
I got Oath.
Oath
It's
is really
good. People are wanting it, but
I'm
not going to play it.
That's a card I would consider speculating. I think Oath might be modern playable, and it's definitely standard playable. But we'll be doing some more pack cracking of the new set. We'll be going out to make sure we have some on hand and kind of talking about it as we go through. And I think I'm going to go into more depth the next time we do crack packs. I don't feel like talking quite as much anymore because we're wrapping up. I'm getting hungry, getting ready to eat, fill my belly. But going into which directions you want to go, I will say the biggest thing to remember is that colorless is a color in this set. It is a real cost. You have to commit to it, and you have to work towards getting the lands, right? We saw a colorless land in almost every pack, but there's only one, and you do have to prioritize it.
In case anybody wanted to see these again.
So
don't know that it'll actually focus on these. Let's try that.
Yeah, so Oath of the Nissa, which is
Oath.
standard playable. Sylvan Advocate, which may or may not be. Umara Entanglers is not any good. That's a great, probably the best card that we had for limited.
Yeah, the Stalker is really good for limited. Probably not for standard. Probably not for standard either. Deceiver Form.
Deceiver's probably not. I think Oath is really the only one, but it's a pretty low ones.
Thought Not Seer. I like it.
So Thought Not Seer to me is, first of all, it's at that cusp of, let's talk about numbers for colors cards. Draft-wise, Thought Not Seer is a first pick. And the reason is that you can usually, if you commit your deck to it, have colorless by turn 4. And it's a 4/4 for 4. A 4/4 for 4 that removes their best piece of removal is great. The only time that you're even slightly punished is if they bounce it, and it's not that bad.
It's also worth money, so you might want to just pick it for that.
Sure. As far as constructed playability goes, it will be played in standard, and as long as the Eldrazi deck exists, it will be played in Eldrazi, and it will be the flagship card. Right now, the flagship card for the Eldrazi deck, more than anything else, I think, is Oblivion Sower or the 4 or 5 for 5.
Yeah.
But the fact that you can't play those on turn 2 is a big deal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
They now have a turn 2 play that is terrifying. Like, they can just say...
Yeah, he's talking about the modern Eldrazi deck.
The modern Eldrazi deck can play turn 1, Eldrazi Temple, turn 2, I have Ugin, that. Or just Eldrazi Temple, and be like, I have a 4/4. I removed your best card in hand. So if you're a combo deck, you can't combo probably. If you're some sort of removal deck, unless you have the mana up right then, you don't have access to your removal, and you have to answer my 4/4 right now. It's like a better version of Vendilion Click usually, and you get to play it for 2. Mm-hmm. That card is so good, and it will see play in Standard. If there's a colorless deck in Standard, which I think there will be, it'll be fine there because you'll pay 4 mana for it like you're supposed to.
Yeah, it'll be good. It won't be great. I like the fact that it's a twist on the common that they exile a card and they don't get that card back. They get to draw a new card. That's really cool mechanic.
Yep. And the only weakness of that is that if you bounce it, they get to draw multiple cards multiple times, which is fine because you get to exile a card each time, so it's not too terribly bad.
Yeah, it doesn't have the problem where you can flicker it and get in response to your own ability or anything like that and cheat them out of a card. But they never get that important card back. That's
Correct.
what I like.
And you can process them, which may or may not matter. But I will also say the processors are a lot better because when we first had Battle, you chose the ingest cards and then the processing payoffs, and now you do it in the other order. You actually don't pick up ingest cards at all with any value. Like, all the ingest cards that used to be good are now awful. Mist Intruder is no longer a card that I'll ever play.
He means for draft.
For draft.
We got some comments I can't read from over here.
They're talking about the Thought-Knot Seer, and if Oath of the Gatewatch adds anything to Esper Control, and they're pointing out that ultimate price says destroy target monocolored creature, and colorless creatures, devoid creatures, do not have a color. So Thought-Knot Seer cannot be killed because it doesn't have a color, right? No color does not mean one color, because none is less than 0.
Mm-hmm.
So basically that works out.
And so read the card again.
Yeah. As per control, let's pull up real quick the
Esper Control list for Standard.
Let's bring up what's in Standard right now, because what's really going on is we're adding on to the new cards.
Why are you bothering closing tabs? It doesn't matter.
I know.
They can't even see that.
Oh, they can't. Oh, wait 1 second. Let me.
There you go.
Okay, now you guys can see cards. Alright, so what's in Standard right now, and we want to look at the Esper decks. I don't think Esper Dragons will be as popular, or Esper Tokens. I think it'll be more of Esper Control like they were asking about. And let's see if I can find Esper Control. What they're really calling that right now. Because there is an Esper Control deck for sure. Now I want to pull up a list. There we go. And it's really just, like, I think you have the option not to play Dragon Lord Treasure Time in that. What I really think we're going to see pop up is decks that play more Planeswalkers. Yeah. Reach of Darkness, Grasp of Darkness is black for -4/-4. I think one of the things that you'll see a lot more is that getting away from creature-based stuff. Like, okay, this is the deck, but they're having to run Seeker of the Way. Monastery Mentor is good there, and Dragon Lord Orchard is fine. But what if instead of all these creatures, other than Jace, you just ran Planeswalkers? You just ran a bunch of Planeswalkers and the Planeswalkers effects. Right, the ones that are worth playing. All of them aren't. Some of them aren't. I think that the
You'd probably still run Mentor, right?
maybe
Mentor
not.
triggers off all those Planeswalkers, right?
I mean, it's fine, but you can also just run 3 Jace.
Or is it only instants and sorceries?
No, it's anything.
Okay.
But you can also just run 3 Jace to, like, they have to kill the Jace. But do you want to run removal against a deck that only has 3 creatures? Do you want that many dead cards?
That's a good point.
Like, now they're stuck.
The Mentors are so powerful, though, because they generate creatures.
Yeah, you could have Mentors in the sideboard. They could be in the main board. You see that a lot, too. But, like, there's a lot of good Planeswalker interacting cards. Now, there's not a Black Oath. And I don't think the White Oath is particularly good. But the Blue Oath plays well with Delve. And that is a main mechanic in Esper. So that's a possibility. We might see... Yep. Ob is really good, and he's one of the best Planeswalkers. We could see Jund. I think that, like, the Green Oath is the best one. We could see Sultai. There's going to be a lot of Planeswalker decks, and I think there'll be decks that play very powerful Planeswalker decks with the powerful enchantments that play those ones, and decks that can beat up on that. You can play the black powerful spells. What is the enchantment for 2 black that gives you a whole bunch of effects, and then the 4th turn you die? That card hasn't been seen played.
What's the name of that?
I can't remember. It's like Demonic Pact.
Yeah.
But you can't play that card very easily because of the Jamoka's Command. It just kills it, right? You pay 4 mana, they Jamoka's Command, they 2 or 3 for 1 you. It's rough. Now, or 2 for 1 you. Now you can play, your Oath of Nissa on turn 1, get the lands you need. Turn 3 or 4, you can play your different kind of planeswalkers that you want to play. And you can play out a powerful enchantment that does something. And there's a lot of powerful enchantments that haven't been seen play. And all of the oaths will make them more playable. You can play creatureless control decks, creatureless mid-range decks that just pump out various kinds of removal spells or must-answer planeswalkers. And it's not easy to kill planeswalkers, especially when a lot of those planeswalkers have creature-making abilities, right? The new Nissa makes creatures, Gideon makes creatures. You can be playing things like, maybe if you're an Abzan shell, something that, like Obnixilis kills big creatures. If you're running white, then you have Gideon effects. If you're running blue, then you have Jace. So there's a lot of different angles to kind of push on that, and I think we're actually going to see a really, really grindy response to our tempo-based kind of position we're in now. Yeah, I think that this deck would change a lot. If I was running this, I would find a way to make, I forgot about Sorin. Like, if you're green-blue, if you're Esper, and, you're running just some Obnixilises and ways to make your payoff cards. That said, there's only one payoff enchantment in white, and it is the Oath of Gideon, which works great with, do they have it in here? Yeah, not Ultimate Price, Murderous Cut. I think it means you can run more Murderous Cuts and Treasure Cruises, because you have a turn 3 card that gives you card selection, and protects other enchantments if you want to do that, which you bite with Silk Wraps. It lets you play more Silk Wraps. It lets you play more white enchantment removal because they have a harder time just making you sacrifice it. But we'll see how that shakes out in the next, couple weeks? Don't we have a Pro Tour coming up very soon?
I think we do.
I think it's a Modern Pro Tour, though.
Oh, that'd be good.
Yeah, it's a Modern Pro Tour because they always do big bands like this before Modern Pro Tours. We were talking earlier about the bands. But, yeah. If you don't want to see the best decks get banned all the time, a really easy argument for that, because Aaron Forsyth basically said Pro Tour coming up is one of the big reasons we made this aggressive ban, is try to get your modern, no more modern PTs. Like, they don't do bans in Legacy, and a lot of that is that they don't have a financial incentive to do that. Keeping Pro Tours from being very dull, right? If everyone's playing Twin and Bloom, then they're not as happy. Imagine if the top table is like...
Well, I think you just got to realize that in Modern, the only reason you'll have to buy another deck is if something gets banned or becomes obsolete. And so, if it happens, it happens. And it made me stop playing for 2 years.
Bans would happen less if they didn't have Pro Tours.
That's true, but if they didn't have Pro Tours, there'd be nowhere to go once you started wanting to play more competitively.
Once you're at the point where on Pro Tours, you usually aren't so...
Yeah, but just random people that like me that go to play, I'm affected by these bannings yet.
Right. But let's say they didn't have a Modern PT, and that bannings of Modern were less likely to happen. They've done Modern GPs, which is fine, but there's no PT, so there's no pro teams grinding out the hours on it. If you make it to the pro
they make more money from the pro teams grinding out the hours. That generates more hype for the market.
Right, but that generates.
So, the more pros play Modern, the more people want to play Modern, in my opinion. Because that's what a lot of people want to be when they play this game, is pros.
I don't know if they care if they're watching Standard or not, though. Then pros playing Standard means that Standard prices will reflect that more, and they'll sell more new product, as opposed to old product. What does Wizards have a financial investment in people playing Modern as much as Standard? No,
they don't, but they don't do Modern Pro Tours that often either.
They do one a year.
So,
I I don't know. People wanted Modern Pro Tours, and I enjoy them as a watcher. I don't play Modern. I enjoy watching Pro.
He has played Modern before.
Right, but I own Burn. I don't own some expensive decks. The last time I owned
several decks. So.
I owned Eggs. That was the last deck that I played Modern deck with.
That got banned too.
Yeah, but like Brad, as a person that has a lot of Legacy cards, might not want them to have Legacy Pro Tours because they might be more likely to ban more stuff from his decks. Now, they would never ban his lands, which is
they're
one
not
thing.
Yeah, they're not going to ban the super expensive
Right,
stuff.
but like, let's say, and they probably wouldn't ban Force of Will, but let's say that they banned, you had all of Sneak and Show, and they banned Sneak and Show because it was the best deck hands down. Like, it wouldn't be as bad because those cards aren't the priciest parts, but you would not be as happy.
That's true.
And the same thing for Modern.
And I hate that cards drop in value so much in Modern when they get banned. Because, I mean, you spent a lot of money on Splinter Twins if you bought them a couple years ago.
Yeah.
And you spent a lot of money on a lot of those lands that might be worth less that not many people would be playing with.
One of the things that is nice about Modern is that it does come full round circle. We saw with Wild Nactyl, they banned it, and then they unbanned it. There are some cards that I would never imagine to be unbanned. Jace, for instance. Don't go picking up a bunch of Jaces. It'll be a very long, if ever, if they unban Jace. But there could be a future where Twin gets unbanned because, they want this in. And that's less likely. What's more likely is Preordain gets unbanned, or this card gets unbanned, or that card gets unbanned, or etc., etc.
Yeah.
And they make those decisions, unbanning decisions, a lot more carefully than their banning decisions. I don't think that they ban without warrant, but they unban with extreme caution.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the last Legacy unban was them unbanning a dragon combo that was well beyond playability,
Yep.
Alright, guys, that's going to wrap us up for today. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you guys on, what is tomorrow?
Tuesday. We'll see you on Tuesday.
Tuesday. Not tomorrow, which is